Let's podcast live. Thanks to Sleek Fleet. Check them out online, sleek-fleet.com. We are in prime postseason mode with the Carolina Hurricanes. Maybe you want to get to game tonight. Maybe pass off on Saturday.
Oh,
because it's a full day.
The potential is there for Saturday to be a banger, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Assuming.
If it wasn't for Junior Canes tryouts, I would say let's tailgate, but I'll be a little bit busy up until game time. So you might be completely free on Saturday and you want to get home safely. You want to go in style. That's where Sleek Fleet comes into play. Check them out online at sleek-fleet.com. We also got the U.S. Open coming up. Maybe you're trying to get away to the Quail Hollow, out to Quail Hollow for a little whatever bank it's called now, championship.
The Wells Fargo Championship, at least for one more year.
Yes. So you can get Sleek Fleet to help you out there too. Go to the airport. Summer vacation's coming up once school gets out. Again, Sleek Fleet can help you. So check them out online at sleek-fleet.com. We are inside of Eford Studios, thanks to Empire Properties, and always thanks to Copiers Plus for being the presenting sponsor to Ovies and Giglio. Joe?
Sir.
You ready for some coochie tonight?
Bag of tricks begins. Right?
Yeah, so Peter Kochetkov is in net tonight. Here's Rod Brindamore during his pregame, his favorite availability, pregame availability, and he was asked who was in net tonight. He was being a little cheeky about it.
Will you go back to Freddie tonight?
Yeah, no. Yeah, no, we're going to go Cooch tonight.
Why the change with the goalie?
Well, I think, Freddie's played really well, but he's also played a lot, and I think giving him a little rest is the best thing.
You've said that you're not worried, never have been worried about Kuch's ability to step right back in despite not getting to play often. What has he been doing, especially the majority of his time? Is it kind of split between watching film and practicing? Is he doing something different?
Nope, just getting ready, practice, be ready. I mean, I don't know how much film work he does. I mean, it's the goalie just getting himself ready. He does work with Paulie, but I mean, at the end of the day, I think, he's fresh and hopefully has a great game.
Does Kochetkov do anything differently as a goalie playing behind your group?
Well, he's got a different demeanor. I mean, that's obvious. I mean, Freddie's really calm and cool, and Kuch is a little more passionate and, wears his emotions on his sleeve. But, I don't know. They both pretty good goalies.
That was Rod Brindamore, head coach of the Carolina Hurricanes, letting it be known that Peter Kochetkov is in net tonight. I have thoughts on what Rod had to say about his demeanor in a second, but what is your initial thought on the goalie change, which was going to happen at some point? We were going to see Kochetkov at some point in the postseason. Happens to be tonight.
Yeah, I think this is the natural part for it. I didn't think Freddie was great in game one, but you can't kill his confidence by not starting him in game two.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they did the right thing up in New York. I think Freddie played a much better game in game two. Obviously not a perfect one, but I thought he was much better. I thought he gave him a chance to win the hockey game. It's really all you can ask for from your goaltender. So now you come back home, and I thought the attitude, the demeanor, I think is right. You got to get a little bit more feisty. You got to get a little bit more aggressive, if you will. And I think naturally that is Peter Kochetkov's default mode is aggressive, right? Now that can be used against him, but I can also see him being aggressive and potentially sparking not only his teammates, but the crowd. So that could be something that works in their favor. The thing about Kochetkov that you have to worry about is he is prone to mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
He is prone, though, that aggressiveness can lead to mistakes. And, I think they've done a really good job all season long pressing the right buttons with him. And we talked about the carrot and the stick. I think they've done a really good job with that. And he is a different personality. He is a different person. I do think this could potentially help the Hurricanes tonight. I expect the Hurricanes to play well either way, to be perfectly honest with you.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this is it.
Yeah,
I'm with you on
it's not
that. Cutting time now. Like, don't give me your freaking high danger chart. Don't give me your chances. Don't give me your Corsi. Don't give me your whatever you want to call it, your number, whatever your spreadsheet says tonight. I don't give a fuck about your spreadsheet tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Tonight is nut cutting time.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be a big boy tonight, you be a big boy. You want to be real, you want to be taken seriously, tonight's the night. You don't show up tonight, You don't show up tonight. They already have a whole bunch of questions waiting for them. Okay,
Mhm.
I'm talking about personnel wise.
Yeah.
They already have a bunch of questions waiting for them. But you seriously have to take a look at: are you doing this thing right? Are you really Gonzaga, where you're just blowing through this thing in the regular season, and then all of a sudden you get a little bit of resistance in the playoffs, and you don't know how to respond?
We got some feedback on the After Dark following Game 2 and yesterday's show, or just the general shows that we've been doing. And some folks have pointed out, hey, teams have been down 0-2 before, and they've found themselves coming back. The Canes found themselves in a situation, 2 years ago? What was it, 22, where it was the home teams were the only ones that won, right? Eventually, the Rangers beat them in Game 7. I get all that kind of stuff. But this is all a buildup for the Carolina Hurricanes. It's why the moves they made at the trade deadline were so interesting, and a message to the room that this is about what it's about. As you said, they've got some questions about their personnel. This is their crack at it. This is their chance. This is what you've been building towards. So go out there and do it. You're healthy. You've got your goalies. You've got all these things in place. Healthy for the most part. I understand. I understand you're missing Brett Pesce and those types of things. But in terms of the guys that we've been lamenting, including Andrei Svechnikov,
yep,
they're on the ice. Okay, you went and got a guy in Jake Gensel, and all right, he had a good game too. But let's see where it goes tonight. I like how you put it. It is nut cutting time, if you will. And that shit was there Game 1 against the Rangers when you're up there, when you're locked in. And there's an issue with the Carolina Hurricanes that I have. And the reason why I push back on the doom and gloom where you guys are being wet blankets, because this year was supposed to be different. This was a year in which the Carolina Hurricanes were actually going to go in and flex. This was their chance. And instead, what I've seen out of the Carolina Hurricanes so far is more of the same. A team that almost doesn't know what to do when the other team's being an asshole to them. We see this. And the New York Rangers, they have been assholes to the Carolina Hurricanes, and they find themselves they keep putting themselves in dumb situations.
Well, that's on purpose, because they know that's the response they're going to get. Why do
we keep getting that? At some point, you do have to.
No, they have to play smarter.
You got to play. They got to play smarter. So either you don't engage in it, or
always easier said than done, man. Right?
I get it.
Because on one hand, you're like, oh, you're calling us a bunch of pussies, and what are we supposed to do? Not fight back? And what happens when they fight back? They get called for penalties.
Which is why you then have to think about it. Either you don't engage because you see what's going to happen to you, like in the case of Jake Gensel, or you end up being the asshole.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You have to
agitate a little bit.
Agitate yourself. And that's where we get to Kochetkov.
Yeah.
Talked about the energy, a little bit of a different energy. Freddie Anderson, as they've been making some cuts at the goalie, as we've seen so far. And obviously, Andrei Svechnikov found himself in the same situation with Shesterkin. Do you think Kochetkov would have put up with that shit? No, he absolutely would not. Now, to your point, Freddie played very, very well in Game 2.
I thought he was really good in Game 2.
So my galaxy brain thinking of, well, maybe knowing that the schedule was going to be every other day, perhaps you should have put Kochetkov out in Game 2, feed off the energy that was clearly there in Game 1, win it, come back here with a fully rested, ready to go Freddie Anderson, and then take control 2-1 in Game 3. But again, I can't say anything because Freddie did play pretty good in Game 2.
You also have to consider what is your path to the cup, right? Yeah. And your path to the cup is on Freddie Anderson's back. Mm-hmm. Now, if you bench him after Game 1, or if you don't start him in Game 2, it feels like you're benching him for his performance in Game 1.
I get it.
So I understand. Now, I promise you, now Rod does not like to change goaltenders, but I promise you, if Freddie had played poorly in the first period of that game, you would have seen Kochetkov in that game. So the way that it turned out was actually probably the best case scenario in terms of handling the goalies, because now it does seem like, okay, we're giving you a rest. We're also trying to energize our group, which can happen. You know who did this a bunch?
Who did this a bunch?
2006.
Martin
Aguebert and our friend Cam Ward. So Peter Laviolette knew how to push the buttons, pull the levers. Sometimes it's out of necessity, and as we've seen with Rod, right? With Ronta and the Wolf, McElhenney, and all these other guys. We've seen him desperately kind of turn to somebody. This isn't desperation. This is more of a calculated move where you're trying to not only get the best out of Kochetkov, but then you're hoping, well, Freddie looks at this and goes, okay, yeah, I better be on my P's and Q's and be ready for Game 4.
Brought to you by Happy and Hill.
It's funny, the roadcaster remembered it from the last time when we said we had to take a hockey break when I was bashing NFL people for
for
the
not-
schedule. So let me try this again.
Let's take a break. Let's take a hockey break. Brought to you by Happy and Hill.
Big thanks to Happy and Hale for sponsoring our Canes coverage throughout the playoffs. You can check them out tonight at Game 3, Section 123. They've got the app, which Giglio is very excited about.
I ordered on the app. If it's your birthday, you get a free bowl within a month.
Love it.
Just for signing up for the app, you get a free smoothie.
Love it.
Also, you can cut my veins and you'll see Bueno Bowl right now. I finally got the Bueno Bowl yesterday.
That's been a go-to for me.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's been a go-to for me.
Sir. Whoa. I think I've gotten everything now but the cauliflower Caesar, the Hail Caesar.
I've not had that. I'm not a Caesar salad guy.
Yeah.
I never have.
I'm
been a
intrigued
Caesar
though because I
salad
feel like
guy.
it is the only thing I haven't had yet.
The only Caesar salad that I'll actually have where I've enjoyed is at Trader Joe's. They do like a dill pickle Caesar salad kit. It's legitimately good.
It's an interesting choice.
It's like legitimately good. It actually comes with potato chips in it instead of croutons.
Oh, I was trying to think
It's
of your
got potato.
brain though. Your brain saying I don't like
It's the pickle.
Caesar salad, so I'm gonna get at Trader Joe's
It's the pickle though that does it.
bastardized.
No. It's the pickle that does it.
Very
But
odd.
that's neither here nor there. At Happy and Hale,
The app, Happy Plus Hail. Yes,
get the app,
I'm on it.
get your stuff, and if you're at the game tonight,
Oh, that's right.
get the Burnsy Bowl outside
And the Bueno
section-
Bowl.
That's outside section 123. There was some response to the Kochetkov stuff. You had mentioned your 2006 and how riding the young goalie and things like that from that crazy Caniac on Twitter. We wrote a rookie goalie in 2006. Maybe we'll get lucky this time too. I mean, Kochetkov's not the rookie goalie, if you will, but he's the young one that has some high risk, high reward as it comes to his play. That's why I do like the overall demeanor of Kochetkov in a night tonight, that they have to bring it.
Yeah,
Be a little bit more of the asshole.
I know we misremembered 06 enough, but
Yes, we have.
Martin Gerber saved them in the Buffalo series.
Yes.
So yes, he started the first two games against Montreal, ended up losing, and then they go to Ward, and Ward is very good up until they
He
need to bring
wasn't.
Gerber back,
Yeah.
and then they did.
Well,
And
I'm glad you brought that up.
There's a little bit of like ham and egg brother-in-lawing, which again, if you're Rod and you have that experience, even
Mhm.
going back to 02 with Urbe and Weeks in 02.
Thank you. Because this is something that's been nagging me with the conversation around Freddie. It's like, oh, you got to keep going. If Freddie feels good, if Freddie feels good, if Freddie feels good. He might tell you he feels good because he's a competitor. He wants to go out there. I get that. But every single time the Canes have gone on a run, and really, if you look at the totality of the NHL today, the modern era of the NHL, it ain't just one guy.
Right.
You can get a hot guy in a series.
Yeah, Boston using two different guys.
So they were going to have to. That's why I've always been intrigued about the Kochetkov equation here, because they were going to have to go to him at some point. They're going to him later than I initially thought. We'll see if it works out tonight. From Jess on Twitter, now put Jarvie and Gensel with Aho.
Please.
Yes,
Pretty please.
totally agree. I even put a little hard on that one because I agreed. Absolutely agree on that one. We'll see what happens. From Paul in the YouTube comments, Canes are going to have to break that Igor streak of games without allowing more than 3 goals. Cooch isn't holding the Rangers to 2 tonight.
Don't make me create a freaking Rangers spreadsheet, please. Just don't.
From Chevum, let's go Canes, listening from Florida. Wish I could be there tonight. Love the podcast, guys. No, I appreciate that. We do things to speaking of charts, before we move on to housekeeping, I wanted to do this.
Housekeeping.
Let me go back to okay, so what's the overtime, the multiple overtime chart?
1 and 9 now.
1 and 10, actually.
Well, I don't count the one that's not Mo.
You don't count that one?
Hang on.
Pretty sure it's 1 and 10 now, after this past weekend.
Let me get the chart.
Go get the chart, for heaven's sake. Because I did something today.
Okay.
In anticipation of the game tonight, maybe to break multi-overtime problems, whether it's, what happened last year, what happened in 2002 in
Okay.
Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals against Detroit.
No, I think ESPN counts a Whalers game.
Oh,
I don't.
okay.
I don't count the Whalers.
So,
I just
okay.
count the Canes.
So what was the first one for the Canes? The first multi-OT playoff loss?
Hold, please. I believe it was they played Boston. The
Okay.
first multi. I got them right here now. All right. No, I don't. No, I don't.
Okay. It doesn't matter. It's 1-9, right?
Hold, please. Or
Okay.
Vamp.
Okay. Well,
It's 1-9. Yes.
Okay, 1-9.
The Hurricanes themselves, 1-9.
all right. So the Hurricanes are 1-9.
The very first one was in 1999. They lost to Boston in double overtime.
Okay.
Mo, and that's when they were in Greensboro.
So I got a rally towel. It's actually very difficult to find things from 2002, the 2002 Stanley Cup run.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's difficult to find stuff from 2002. It just is. And maybe people are holding on to it. They don't want to sell it yet. Fine. So be it. But I found a rally towel from game 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals. That was the multi-overtime game that went into late into the night. I'm convinced.
3 overtimes.
I am convinced that if the Canes had won that overtime game,
Correct.
they would have won the series.
So were they. Yes.
All right. I was going to put it in the studio.
Okay.
Add it to the collection. I'm like General Grievous here. This will be a fine addition to my collection, right? But
All right.
Kelly,
Gonna need to put you on Star Wars probation soon.
but Kelly is convinced, like, no, that towel's cursed.
Mm.
And of course, what ends up happening in
What do
game
we-
2?
What do we do with curses, sir?
We
end
reverse them. So today, I threw the towel on the grill.
On the grill.
On the grill. And if you're watching on YouTube right now, I have the Stanley, and it's look, it has the 850 The Buzz logo on it. I was very happy to find this, you know. Now
to be clear, you purchased this on eBay.
yes.
Okay.
I purchased it. It was like $5. It was like super, super cheap. I'm not too worried about it. But I decided, you know what? If we're going to do a curse reverse, let's do a curse reverse. Let's burn this towel, and maybe it'll change the fortunes of multi-overtime games. Either we will not have another multi-overtime game to worry about the rest of the way, or maybe they'll actually start winning these things more consistently. So I burned the towel.
Is that the outline of the Canes logo, or is that a visage of Jesus Christ? Because you could see what you want in these burnings, man. Now all of a sudden you're
Well, either way, all I know is that I have made an offering to the hockey gods with this Radley towel
okay.
from Game 3, 2002 Stanley Cup Finals. I don't know what kind of chemicals were used on that paint.
I was going to say I would not have put that on my grill where I'm now going to be cooking again.
No,
I
but
give that
it's the base. It's not where I put the actual food.
Oh,
Okay. It's the grate at the bottom of the Weber
Okay.
that I put this thing on. So I have made an offering to the hockey gods. We shall see if it pays off the rest of the way.
That Rorschach test is the best part. What did you see?
What did you see at the end? Let's see. What did you see at the end? All right. Wait. Let me pause it.
It's like Van Gogh or Santa. I kind of see Santa with the beard on the end, and there the eyes.
Hey, man, if that's what you see, that is what you see. Anyway, we'll see what happens tonight.
Housekeeping.
Couple of housekeeping notes to get to. We got the OG Beard Gang. OG Beard Gang is something that you can send us an email throughout the playoffs. If you're growing out your playoff beard, let's go. Let's make this happen. Send us a picture. You can tag us on Instagram. You can just use that hashtag OG Beard Gang, but tag us on Instagram so I make sure that I see it.
So you know.
Or you can email us. You can use the oggoesdigital@gmail.com. We've had a couple of guys send us beard pictures. Cool. We're keeping track. We got a bottle of the Colonel.
We do.
So we're good to go. Now,
Sir.
we have introduced the OG Sports Phone, which we're going to get to the OG Sports Phone next.
I think you have a future as a consultant in the radio business, Joe.
I think you're right. We might actually address that in Hey Joe, because I got a very funny tweet as I introduced the OG Sports Phone overnight. But look, man, I do
you completely just create. I don't. It's amazing how you come up with these ideas.
It's crazy, right?
Completely original ideas that no one in the history of this
man.
medium has thought of. Like,
Look, man,
it'll rack your fucking brain, man. Like, I don't know how you come up with this shit.
I came up with the OG Sports Phone just for you because I know you're worried about off-season protocol.
Oh,
In fact,
sir.
Dimitri and I had lunch today to talk about podcast festival things, which is also part of our housekeeping here, which I'll get to in a second. But Dimitri did offer a once a week spin the wheel of radio bits, and then like every Wednesday we spin.
We do have a wheel. Actually.
Yeah, we spin the wheel of old radio bits. And
I like it.
And then he presents it. You know, all right.
I like it.
Mount Rushmore of spin the wheel again. Meat.
Yeah.
And then we go from there.
Let's
So
do it.
this is something we might do in the summertime. But back to the Colonel real quick, because Mother's Day is Sunday.
Yes, it is. I just went and got a Mother's Day gift today.
We need
Very busy.
you to call the OG Sports phone with a story, a sports mom story. It
Okay.
could be you as a mom hustling your ass off to get your kids to where they need to be. Tell us that story. It could be you who thanks your mom for doing that hustling all over the place to get you to where you need to be. It could just be an appreciation, anything. It could be embarrassment. It doesn't matter. We just need a good sports mom story. And we have another bottle of bourbon because whatever you get on Sunday for Mother's Day, you might need to make up for
Oh,
it
yeah. We have the rare.
with the bottle of the Eagle Rare.
Yeah. That's
there you
right.
go. Get your mom some brown liquor.
Yeah. Get her what she really wants. Brown liquor.
So call the OG Sports phone at 919-444-2211. I want to do this next Thursday.
Yeah.
So I want to
Next Thursday,
compile.
we'll be at Nature's Relief.
Yes.
So I'm excited
That'll
about
be
that.
a lot of fun. So I want to compile some OG Sports phone
Next
about
Thursday,
moms.
we're still going to have hockey.
Yeah, I
You
think
want me to
so.
do the Ben Crenshaw voice, or you want me to do like
Look,
the...
man, at the very least, I need the Canes to have a home game for Jacob's birthday because it's tradition at this point for his
Yeah.
birthday. He needs that stuff.
It's nice.
He needs that
It's a
stuff.
nice tradition.
So let's go ahead and holler at that OG Sports phone, 919-444-2211. And then finally, we have the OG's Sports Podcast Festival coming up in August. It's going to feature Shutdown Fullcast, Hand in the Dirt, and us. And tickets go on sale May 25th. So be on the lookout for that. Should be a lot of fun. Big thanks to Breeze Through. They're the presenting sponsor, and we'll have a lot of fun with that. Speaking of Breeze Through, we thank them for not just being the title sponsor of the podcast festival, but we thank them for sponsoring us. And most importantly, we thank them for the coffee that I will be consuming on my way back from PNC Arena tonight for the OG After Dark.
Big night tonight.
Absolutely is a big night.
Hit up, get those tailgate needs, get your snacks, get your hydrating drinks,
Mm-hmm.
and they have an amazing beer cave.
Also, big thanks to Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. Check them out, bugsbite.com. You can bundle and save with Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. No contracts. You can pay as you go with the mosquito treatments. You can bundle a bunch of them together for the summer and just pay one time, set it, forget it, and go from there. And as I was in my yard today burning that towel, didn't have any mosquitoes bothering me. Other than, again, maybe they were worried about the fire itself.
Even
I
though-
have no idea.
Even the mosquitoes were like,
Like,
that is
whoa,
a chemical. that
I
is-
don't know if I want to deal with that. I really don't know if I want to deal with that. And
I'm
last,
glad your baby making days are over.
oh yeah, I shut that thing down, man. I got snipped with a quickness.
Well, you wouldn't have needed it. You could have just burned that
That's
towel.
true. Just breathe it all in. Breathe it all in. And of course, big thanks to Jason, OG Scoreboard, for doing our OG Birthday Bash trivia last week. That was a lot of fun at Shady's. And he's part of Sporkle. Sporkle's got trivia all across the triangle. And it's a lot of fun. They've been around for a long time. It makes it super, super easy to do with their web interface. You know, it goes up on the screen. You enter your stuff. You get your points in real time. You can join up with other people. You could do it on you're a loner like me, a lone wolf in trivia. That's how I roll. And every Thursday at Shady's in Garner, 7 and 8 o'clock, Jason does a music quiz. He also does a traditional pub quiz at Driftwood Cantina on Sunday, 4 and 5 o'clock. Again, that's Driftwood Cantina in Raleigh. But they got some other spots as well. They hang out at Buffalo Brothers on Tuesday night, Parkway Tavern in Cary on Tuesday night, House of Hops, the location on Bale Street, the one out in Pittsburgh on Wednesday and Thursday. But Sporkle is a lot of fun, and you can put your knowledge to good use by playing Sporkle events, trivia nights at all these various locations. Joe, are you ready to dust off and debut the OG Sports Phone?
I am.
We have all sorts of crazy ideas. So with the OG Sports Phone, you call it 919-444-2211. Do you have something that you want us to discuss? Call the OG Sports Phone. Is there something that we've said that you do not necessarily agree with and you'd like to make some points? Call the OG Sports Phone. Do you have a scorching hot take that you just have to get off your chest? Call the OG Sports Phone at 919-444-2211. Let's go to the first call.
Hey, Jovi Ace and Jilly Joe. First time, long time. Listen, I know things are looking a little rough with the doldrums of summertime sports radio rapidly approaching. I just got to know, if Rod Brendamore's coaching style was an SEC school, what school would it be and why? Follow-up question. If Sebastian Aho was a deli sandwich, what kind of grinder would that be? That's really more for Giglio there. Hot or cold, wheat or rye. Anyways, 5 stars only, positive vibes only.
So what SEC school would Rod Brindamore be?
I want to say Auburn.
Why Auburn?
Because he hasn't won it yet.
Yeah.
They have a little bit of that underdog mentality because they're not Alabama.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But they're still dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Right?
But
like you never know when it's going to be an Auburn year.
I feel like they need,
or does it need to be someone who's more consistent? But
Auburn has
I
won.
feel like
they won it with Cam.
You know what? You know who they really are? He's Mark Richt, Georgia. They're good every year. They keep winning.
Yes,
they got good players.
That's the one.
But they're not. They just couldn't break through.
That's exactly where I was going with. It has to be an SEC school that is perennially great in the regular season, but they missed that one game. They lose a rivalry game. They lose one game that keeps them out of the SEC championship, or they get to the SEC championship.
Florida all those years.
Florida all the time.
They could not beat them.
Speaking of Florida, right? They couldn't get past Florida last year. So I do think that Mark Richt Georgia era is the correct answer so far for Rod.
Yeah, it could change.
It could change.
Then he would be Auburn. If they could win it once, right?
Yes.
Then all of a sudden you're like, oh, they're totally dangerous. But Auburn's not consistent.
No, they're all
Auburn
over the place.
Could be like 3-9, and then they could be 11-1.
If you're talking about the Carolina Hurricanes up until Rod Brindamore is the head coach, then yes, you could say Auburn because they do have their one with the inconsistent results. So I do think. Yeah. So I do think Georgia Mark Richt is the correct answer.
Richt, Georgia.
All right, next on the OG.
No, what sandwich would?
Oh, the sandwich.
Whew, the
with
fin.
Aho.
It's not spicy, that's for sure.
Well, it's got to be some like tinned fish, smoked fish.
I was going to say it could just be a tuna salad.
Could be.
Yeah,
sounds about right. But it probably isn't with mayo. They probably do it with some sort of oil based. It's like a German potato salad.
Well, no,
that sort of thing.
It's like his style of play, not him himself.
Okay, but
that's what I'm saying. Not spicy, but again,
do you need ingredients
productive.
To elevate?
You need a great chip around you, and a really good soda and or beer.
Maybe he's like
a crank arm beer.
Maybe he's like a French dip. Great ingredients, but you need that little extra something to dip it in.
To put them up, raise them up.
Just a thought.
Okay,
just a thought. All right, next up on the OG Sports Phone.
Man, I don't know if y'all talked about it, but the move that Don Waddell made to choose Jesperi Kochetkov over Vincent Trocheck, what was it, like 2 years ago? Not looking so good. Obviously, you've got the one guy who has scored in every single playoff game, including an double overtime winner, and then Kochetkov, who played less than 10 minutes in a double overtime game, which is hard to do. Now we're kind of stuck with him for, several more years, and I don't know if there's going to be any chance to, trade him for assets or whatnot, but yeah, I don't know if y'all touched on it, but that's been bugging me for the last 2 days.
I think in general, Kochetkov has been bothering Canes fans for a while now, and the whole conceit around Kochetkov was a little Montreal payback, also getting it on the ground floor of a guy they thought could have a high ceiling. So if the contract worked itself out, and right now Kochetkov is a cap hit of 4.8. I'm at capfriendly.com right now. So he's got a cap hit of 4.8, and that contract would look good as time went on because he would be producing at under $5 million. It hasn't necessarily panned out that way. Whereas Vincent Trocheck is currently, again, cap friendly, currently a cap hit for the New York Rangers at 5.625. So it's a higher rate. I think it was also a 7-year deal.
Yeah,
he signed a 7-year deal with the Rangers.
Yeah, they overpaid for him.
Oh, don't tell that to Rangers fans in the YouTube comments, man.
No,
they were mad about that.
Not in a bad way, but they overpaid for him. Remember, we've talked about this with NC State. Well, when you're the Rangers, the number one thing you do, since you can't develop anybody to save your life, is you overpay,
of course,
for other teams' players.
Of course. Right?
You have one title since 1940, and it was from Mark Messier. Oh, I'm sorry. All those homegrown players that you've had.
Right.
My bad. Get the fuck out of here. Of course they overpay. That's what they do. You're the Rangers.
You know what I've noticed as the New Yorkification of the playoffs has continued, the Islanders first and now the Rangers, your cursing level has increased.
I'm not even drinking. I wasn't even drinking.
No, I honestly think it's because it's the New York vibes.
I usually curse more when I drink.
Right, but I'm also thinking you think you're back up in Jersey.
It could be. But no, don't come at me with, they didn't overpay for.
I know.
You're the Rangers. That's what you do.
What you do.
That's your default mode.
That's what you do. It's what you do.
See, with the Knicks, it's not like I'm not like acute. I get it. The Rangers and Knicks are owned by the same people, but give me a break, guys.
Right,
come on.
Next up on the OG Sports Phone.
What? Whoa. Kochetkov was like their Kremlin style, politics. They were all excited about trying to pull one over.
That's why I brought up the Montreal.
Because Montreal had given Aho the offer sheet unsuccessfully, of course, right? So the Canes didn't match it.
Right, it was an epic troll job.
Kochetkov was also about value.
Mm-hmm.
He was also he was in the same draft class as Svechnikov, one pick after. So presumably he's also somebody they had scouted and had an idea of, okay, well, we think he could be this with us.
It's like, you guys suck. We can
make it work. And so there's a little hubris there. However, I do think Don Waddell does make most of the hockey decisions.
Mm-hmm.
I think this one might have had a little bit of a nudge.
I don't disagree with you on that.
So just as we can't absolve all of David Tepper's decisions in Charlotte with the Panthers, I think Dundon had a little needle on this one.
Oh, totally agree.
And I do think the 7 years for Trocheck, who's 30 right now, so it's 4 more years.
What Trocheck wanted was not something that the Carolina Hurricanes were going to give him. And it is clearly, I think this is a Rangers fan who got in the YouTube comment here. When they signed him, I thought he was overpaid, Trocheck. But he's played as a bargain this season. Has.
$5 million is a bargain.
But yes, overpaid through the life of the contract.
Right, yeah,
There's
that's the
always
problem.
the life of the contract.
He's going to be 34 or 35, and you're going to be paying him the same amount, and you're going to be like,
term is always going to be a problem with Dundon. It was a problem when they were trying to sign Sebastian Aho.
Yeah.
That's how we ended up with the offer sheet situation in the first place. Of course, that got worked itself out. Look at Andrei Svechnikov, too.
They've made a lot of really, really, really good decisions, but I think the Kochetkov one is open for
that one's
criticism.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that.
I'm not here though for the Rod slander. That didn't sit well with me yesterday.
What, with Wyshynski?
Yeah.
That's a separate conversation for later.
Because now I'm seeing some other comments about it on our timeline, and I'm like, yeah, but that wasn't really our point.
What do you mean?
It wasn't really our point.
I think people understood.
Greg is seeing it from a broader perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody confused us with, I mean, he was asking why the Teflon hasn't come off, and I was explaining the dynamics of the market and how it works for Rod Brindamore. I don't think it's reckless talk when I say that Rod would be treated differently in a different market.
Correct.
Like, I don't see how that's out of turn. Why would anybody have a problem with that?
That's not how people react, though.
Those people can go outside and touch grass. Unless those people are with the Carolina Hurricanes organization. If that's the case, well, then they're just hearing what they want to hear.
No.
Okay, then.
I'm talking about just being in the... I have issues sometimes when I see stuff like, I feel like if it's in my timeline and it becomes like, well, that's what you said. I was like, no. We were...
Don't make me curse.
And just you're allowed to.
And just say, I'm trying to cut back on that. It's basically, it's like, dude, get out of your mentions. It's as simple as that. Just get out of your mentions.
Right.
Don't catch feelings over mentions.
You're right.
I'm just calling to talk about the Kochetkov move. Doing this game 3, I don't know if it was the right move, right? I think Freddie's been good aside from, of course, those last end of the period sort of situations, right? But I feel like we don't move to Kochetkov. He's rusty at the moment. He's, this is a game 4 situation. This is when it's like balls to the wall. What else are we going to do? I'm curious what y'all's take on that. If you think we're jumping the gun and starting Kochetkov, if you stand by the fact that Freddie should stay in. I just don't know. I don't know.
Okay, so I have a question.
I can sense the frustration there.
I love the graphics. First of all, are these calls all real?
Yes.
Good.
You crack me up sometimes.
I don't know.
You crack me up.
These are things I learned.
You don't. Here's the difference between you and me.
The voice sounds the same. That's all I'm saying.
You don't even understand lyrics half the time.
No, it's
okay.
I don't.
So I don't want to hear it. Your headphones suck. You don't actually wear headphones for real.
That's true.
Number one. Number two, all these years, you've even though we've had an entire year's worth of proof with the podcast, you still don't trust the audience. It's hilarious to me. It's hilarious.
It's not that I don't. These are all very good calls, is what I'm getting
because we have good listeners. We've always had good listeners.
I also thought that person sounded like maybe the person left 2 voicemails. Isn't that possible?
Vamp.
Okay.
Dumbass.
Why are you getting upset?
Because
I don't know.
You basically go into, you do this sometimes with like caveman radio shit. You're like, what? Huh? Think about
I'm
Google.
more impressed than I am.
The Google voice shows you the number.
Okay. What we
I'm
got?
not giving out the numbers.
No.
Okay. But of the calls that we had, we do not have
Any
a
repeat
repeat number. So
That's
unless
awesome.
somebody is
Bought a
calling from
burner?
an office line and then calling from their own personal line, no, these are not repeat calls.
Love it.
Go with the bit.
It sounds like Frank Reich. Ben cracks me up.
Now, Bull City coordinators,
That's bad.
he did call. So you know
Okay.
what?
Oh, did we get more Star Wars?
No,
Oh.
you'll appreciate this one.
Okay, good.
Hey guys, this is Ben from Bull City Coordinators. First time, long time. Just calling to get Ovies' take on whether he thinks that Aaron Rodgers is going to be the first ACC legend from Cal. Looking forward to finding out his take on that.
I'm not allowed to answer that, Ben.
He has to be, right?
I'm not allowed
Or
to answer
Marshawn
that.
Lynch.
I think you should go Marshawn Lynch first, and then Aaron Rodgers can go into his feelings. He can go to his
What?
darkness retreat.
I wasn't the first.
The ACC is trying to cancel me. That's probably what it is.
You need to do your own research.
Although I would say this, if at that luncheon when they introduced the ACC legends, because they usually do it ahead of the ACC football championship, right?
Yeah, it's
They have
usually
some
that
sort
week.
of breakfast
Yeah,
or
yeah.
luncheon. If Aaron Rodgers goes in as a Cal legend, ACC legend, can we all do ayahuasca that day?
Might as well.
I loved, and then we'll do the podcast. We'll basically strip the ego and get to our real selves, Joe, all while doing the podcast. Finally, on the OG Sports phone, all real calls, by the
Completely
way.
legitimate.
We don't have a budget for fake calls.
Wouldn't be that hard.
Gentlemen, would like to get Joe Giglio and maybe Ovies' take here, since he does love to talk golf, about Broughton High School native Webb Simpson getting his 4th sponsor's exemption into a PGA Tour signature event this season. Of course, this week at the Wells Fargo is in his hometown of Charlotte, North Carolina, so I get it there, but just curious if you see any kind of unfair treatment going on here in the golf world for a local legend. My name is Luke, and just would love to get your thoughts here. Thanks, guys.
This has been slightly controversial in the golf world.
Oh, see, I am completely. Did you fake this call?
It did not.
Because this sounds like something you would do on
to get some golf talk.
OG Gambling Syndicate, get some golf talk. Is
Could
this
be.
Bennett?
Not Bennett.
Okay, I'm
It's
just
not
saying.
Josh either.
Jeez.
Um,
Anyway, so this is a real thing.
This has been slightly controversial in the sense that both Webb Simpson and Peter Malnati are on the player advisory board.
Okay.
And earlier in the season, they had been given exemptions to play in the signature events.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Malnati ended up winning another tournament on the tour this year, so he's now qualified.
Yeah.
Okay. And even someone was like questioning it, like, well, why is this guy? And then they're like, why is Webb Simpson? Why do they keep getting these exemptions? Now, Luke, as you mentioned, he is Broughton. He is Carolina Country Club. That's his hometown.
Yeah.
But where they are this week, Quail Hollow, that's where he lives now. So I can see them I can see them also giving him this. I will say this though about Webb Simpson, he is the one person who brings the triangle together. He's from Raleigh, North Carolina in general, right? He went to Wake. He's from Raleigh. He lives in Charlotte. Like, if you're a Carolina fan, you're like, okay, that guy's cool. If you're Duke, you're like, yeah, that guy's cool.
Yeah.
If you're State, you're like, well, yeah, I mean, like, he grew up right here, Broughton, like Pete Maravich, you know, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody likes Webb Simpson, even on the tour. Like, if you have to work really, really hard not to like Webb Simpson.
Well, I guess we found a reason.
Well,
he's getting into golf tournaments he shouldn't be getting into.
Four does seem a little
lot.
exorbitant.
Yeah. I mean, he's not Tiger. Like, let me ask you this. Does anybody blink an eye if it's Tiger that gets
getting
these
four?
Gets these exemptions? Does anybody blink an eye?
No, because
it's Tiger.
he's the one responsible for them making all their money.
Exactly. So,
but I can understand it this week. Like if this was the Memorial, I would say to you, okay, that might be a little bit much, but no, it being Quail Hollow this week and literally his home course.
Yeah, you got to let him in there. That is the OG Sports Phone.
That was successful.
So call us 919-444-2211. I want to make this every Thursday.
Okay.
But then again, like, the Canes play on Saturday. Maybe we can open up the OG Sports Phone to get some people's reaction from that. So we can play it on Monday. But that's the OG Sports Phone. Call it 919-444-2211.
How'd you get the graphic to move?
It's something in StreamYard that I know it's been capable of. So I blew out all of the Adobe credits that I've
that's what you were talking about.
Yeah, so the Adobe stock credits that I've been accumulating over time, I finally blew them out on those dangling phones.
I like I like that old school, although it's a push button, not a rotary, but I still like that. Big office vibes there.
It's huge office vibes. So in this one, I was like, okay, well, what makes sense for a background? There was another one where it was like all these rotary phones dropping. And maybe once I accumulate some more credits next month, I can use that one too.
Drop? Okay.
Yeah, the rotary is dropping. So just something to keep an eye on. Big thanks to Longleaf Swine for sponsoring Ovies and Giglio. Perhaps you are looking something to do on Mother's Day weekend.
Ooh.
Head on over to Longleaf Swine and provide the gift of brisket barbecue. And it's not just the meats. They actually do have a wonderful salad there. Now, mind you,
Did you get the salad last time?
Last time we went there, when we did the show from there, I ended up getting the salad and I put the smoked chicken on top of it. The smoked chicken on top of that salad was phenomenal. But you don't have to get meat on it. It's an option. They also have there's the collard melt, which is excellent. I've had that. I have not had the carrot one.
I have had the collard melt. Yeah, it's good.
The collard melt's really, really good. So they have all sorts of options open this weekend. Go check them out for Mother's Day. Perhaps you've been inspired by Longleaf Swine. You're like, damn, that brisket was delicious. Maybe I want to try to make a brisket. You know what you do? You head on over to the butcher's market. Get yourself some meat. Head on over to the butcher's market, thebutchersmarkets.com. What are you laughing at? You want to get a big old Boston butt? Maybe that's what you do. So head on over to thebutchersmarket.com. Go get your stuff today. And if you happen to be out in the Lake Boone Shopping Plaza area, you go to the butcher's market and then you go to Two Roosters.
Can you get me a siren sounder?
All I can do is
I have a new favorite flavor.
Of course you do. What do you have?
The Guinness whoopie pie.
Oh, that sounds good.
I went yesterday. I got Guinness whoopie pie, the coffee and cake.
Yeah.
And the bee sting something. The bee sting something is like this almond brittle thing. Freaking delicious.
All right.
But the real winner is the Guinness whoopie pie. It's exactly what you think it is. It's a whoopie pie with like a Guinness flavored base.
Yeah.
Right. But when the marshmallow hits you and there's pieces of the whoopie in the ice cream.
That sounds really good.
Jared is the king of putting like really good pieces in the ice cream.
That's clutch.
The ice cream itself, delicious.
Yeah.
Okay. But the ingredients, off the charts.
Head on over to Two Roosters tonight at the game. They've got their space there. You get the Stormy Tracks as well.
Yeah. Speaking of putting
a lot of stuff.
That's like everything.
That's everything in the ice cream. It's really, really good. So big thanks to Two Roosters. Joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline, WFNZ in Charlotte, the Locked On Hornets podcast, Walker Mel. I sounded the Walker alarm because the Hornets finally have a head coach. The smoke is rising from uptown Charlotte from the carcass of the old Whiskey River Saloon. We're ready to go, or whatever that place was called, whatever the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Club was called.
No, you got it. You got it right. Yeah, I actually never went there, as surprising as that may be.
Dude.
Not my scene, though, man.
Dude.
You know, like, respect to Dale Jr., just not my scene from everything I heard. So
I went there once ahead of an ACC football championship game. And I went in there and I went, yeah, no, not for me. And you know that Homer, the Abe Simpson meme where he goes into the restaurant takes his hat off, puts his hat
That's
back
right.
on, and walks out. That was me at Whiskey River. But I did
Yeah,
want to.
that's right. Yeah.
I wanted to read this tweet because I don't know if this is the Hornets are in such a bad place that you look at the moves and you're just trying to be infinitely optimistic. You know, you see what's going on with the Panthers. You're just trying to be infinitely optimistic. But you had pointed out that the Hornets process leading up to this point for Charles Lee to be named the head coach, 2 first-round picks and real NBA depth acquired, respected GM and Jeff Peterson, and an experienced, smart, successful, familiar, younger hires elsewhere in the front office, and now a head coach with the same qualities in Charles Lee. And I'm hesitant to say this, but have the Hornets actually finally gotten competent?
Yeah, that's right. It's you should be hesitant to say it. They have not earned the benefit of the doubt to say otherwise. But I will say, look, it's a different regime. We've been misguided in that thinking before, right? I think last time I was on, Bill Simmons had just released the pyramid of worst owners of all time, and every single ownership group of the Hornets was on there. Every single one. It didn't matter which one. Yeah. So I was hoping to not land a 4th and go for the grand slam. But everything they've done seems to be smart here, Joe. And look, at the NBA trade deadline, Rick Schnall seemed to take a lot of the credit for what happened at the trade deadline, and it was basically just babysitting Mitch Kupchak on his way out of the organization or with any authority in the organization. Now he's just behind the scenes and not making any decisions. But it felt like Rick Schnall was making those calls. Okay, great. You have 2 first-rounders, top 2 protected for PJ Washington. It goes unprotected for Terry Rozier. Those are big time assets. Like I've kind of gone with like 125 cents on the dollar type of assets. You got a lot of return in that. Then you go out and you get Jeff Peterson. I think he was probably the top target for a lot of teams that would be looking for a new GM. He was the next guy in line in the NBA. And the Hornets got somebody that respected. Then filling in the gaps, they bring in a Dotun Akinwale, who they had familiarity with the Atlanta Hawks organization. He comes in as the assistant GM. Patrick Harrell in the analytics department. And he was somebody that he created Hackathon. Hackathon actually led to 20 to 25 other people getting analytics jobs within the NBA. And Patrick Harrell was heavily involved in scheduling to make sure you could avoid as many back-to-backs as possible, make sure that everything was as even as you possibly could get as far as rest. Like, really smart dude. And now he's working for the Hornets, where previously he was working for the entire association. And now here we are with Charles Lee. And Joe, this seems like the right call to me. The guy might end up with 2 championships as an assistant coach when it's all said and done. He won one in Milwaukee with Mike Budenholzer, and Boston could absolutely win it this year. Even if they don't, the guy is very experienced in the postseason. There are plenty of qualities to like about him, digging up some of his philosophies, his sound bites, what he's all about. I think you can copy and paste that, and hopefully it works here. But I think you can apply all of those things here to Charlotte and hopefully turn over a new leaf, because you're right. It feels like they're competent, and this Charles Lee hiring, it's just the latest example of that.
Yeah, the first thing that stuck out to me is he's a young guy. He's not even 40 yet. And it kind of falls in line with the way the Hornets seem to be going in terms of direction, younger, different, etc.
Right.
But when you say copy paste, what exactly would he be copying, pasting from Milwaukee? It's not like they have Giannis Antetokounmpo,
no,
a healthy one, right? And it's not like they've got Jason Tatum, as we've seen with the Celtics. So what exactly, what's the Charles Lee philosophy? What is he bringing?
So he was, if we go back to Milwaukee, his responsibility was working with a few players specifically, right?
Okay.
Grayson Allen, Chris Middleton, Marjon Beauchamp, who was a rookie. He was out of the G League Ignite squad, or maybe just the G League in general. And when he would talk about his responsibilities with them, I think you can copy and paste what he did with those guys here to some players with the Hornets. So, for instance, Chris Middleton. He discussed Chris Middleton is a smart ball player. He's experienced. What we really need to work with Chris on is staying conditioned and continuing to work on his craft while battling all of these injuries that he suffered in his career. You think we can use that here in Charlotte, Joe? Like, that would be fantastic. That'd be great to just use that for LaMelo, Mark Williams, everybody that's been injured. And I do think that's like a real difference between Charles Lee. I don't really think about having a head coach and that head coach being privy to what it takes for injured players to keep their craft up to par during like a lower body injury when they can't stay conditioned, right? Like whatever. He seems to have a knack for that with Chris Middleton. When I heard him talk about what he worked on with Grayson Allen, I think a lot of that can be applied to Brandon Miller. So with Grayson, it was a lot of spot up shooting at first. That was his identity. It was coming off of screens and letting it fly. But what they worked on, where eventually he went to Phoenix and just had a standout year, like the guy contract too. I think part of that was because of what he worked on with Charles Lee, coming off of screens, now driving, the rim percentage, that went up, being more physical at the point of attack, not just becoming this spot up shooter that maybe stalls out when he has the basketball in his hands in the mid range or anything like that. I think that can also be applied to Brandon Miller. And then we go to some of the rookies where he really works on player development. That's a huge thing for this team. When you're a small market, you would love to be able to internally improve, because the idea is that you can't go out and get all of these big free agents that LA and New York is going to be able to get. So an old-fashioned idea is to internally improve, except we just really haven't done that a whole lot. I'm hoping that can happen with Charles Lee. And so I love a couple of things that he's going to bring with him.
Should the welcome press conference take place at Dilworth's? Just have everybody loving up on each other.
Sign say. We can think of something. There's got to be a great sign in store for them. I hope they're already working on it. Although I just, like, if you're Rick Schnall, just don't take anybody's hat off. What a weird behavior. Like that would be incompetence if somebody did that. I don't know who would. But
sometimes as we're watching the Carolina Hurricanes go through the Stanley Cup playoffs again, right? And things are a little dicey right now against the Rangers heading into Game 3 tonight. NC State just came off a Final Four run. We can talk about Carolina. We can talk about Duke. And sometimes, because you know me, I listen to you guys from time to time, and I think to myself, it's fun talking about successful teams, but the essence of what we do sometimes is dunking on emotional men who own these sports teams. And I get a little jealous sometimes. I'm like, oh man, Walker and they gotta be just loving life with all the David Tepper content they're getting.
When David Tepper, when that video came out, we were on air. Right. And people were writing in, hey, did you see this David Tepper thing? What do you guys think about what David Tepper did? My producer, Josh Marlowe, looked at me and said, oh, you got to be excited. Like, I know you love dunking on David Tepper. And I said, you're damn right. I'm about to go in. It's my time. Give me the basketball and watch out.
Before we say goodbye, did you get – I had more than one instance of people saying that what Tepper did wasn't a big deal, that he was clearly joking. You guys, everything he does, if it was any other owner, you guys would look at it differently. Actually, shit. Josh Graham went on the air and said if it was any other owner, we wouldn't be doing that. No, we absolutely would be ripping that person for doing that, because that's just disrespectful. Let it go, man.
Well, look, in part, so like when I say that's what my producer said to me, like, yes, okay. Part of it, I like dunking on David Tepper, but it's because he's damn well earned it. I'm not doing it just because I don't like the guy for no reason.
Right.
Like the times that I've defended David Tepper, one, we could take the cynical approach about him drinking beers with the fans and trying to be the everyman, even though anybody thinking about this logically knows a person worth billions and billions and billions of dollars can't be the everyman. But that's cool. Like, if you're drinking beers with the fans, like if you're trying to interact with them, that's fine. Like, you want to have the cynical approach, okay, but I'm cool with that. Like, I like that behavior from an owner. But then think about this, Joe. He's probably driving, and then when he gets to that intersection where Dilworth Neighborhood Grill is, there's construction. It's kind of been hellacious for a while. It's probably been like that when you come for ACC Media Days and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's been like that for a while. So he sees the sign, and then he says, hey, driver, which I can only assume that's who the other guy was in the video.
That's who it was.
Hey, driver.
I asked around who that was, and apparently it is his driver.
There you go. So they pull in. Like, what is your purpose for pulling in? It's not to glad hand with all the other restaurant goers, like he's done in previous drafts where he goes and says what's up to the people in the community. Like, it's not that. I didn't see in that video where he goes to anybody else and says, hey, man, excited. Thanks for supporting the Carolina Panthers. What do you think we should do? Your sole purpose was to go make your presence known. Hey, I see this. I want you guys to know I see this. And then to cap it all off, pun intended, he takes the guy's hat off, and just basic human respect. There's no reason to do it.
No,
like just
no,
leave me alone.
Playful. No. There's nothing playful about that. That's disrespect. So yes, there's the everyman ass. Oh, I'm having a beer with you, but in the back of his mind, as a billionaire, he's going, I could literally buy this place, and I just might because I'm that petty. All right, Walker Mel, Locked on Hornets, WFNZ out in Charlotte. Appreciate the time, man. Best of luck to the Hornets. May they be confident.
We still need it. Just because we got Charles Lee, I will. Even though we got Charles Lee, I will still accept it. Thanks again, Joe.
We're moving on.
Although we're not quite moving on just yet. Nada Edwards joining us now on the Heister Automotive Group hotline. Nada, what up, man?
What's going on? Long time. And a shout out to Gamecock Heel, I think, that put the comment in that he wanted to hear me on the OG doing the Hornets talk. Shout out. I appreciate that, man.
Hey,
I appreciate
man.
that.
Look, you and I text all the time, and it's one of those things that I need to be better about, of saying, you know what? F it. Why don't you just come on damn podcast so we can bring this text conversation on to here. Now, we just had Walker Mel on.
Yeah.
And we talked about the idea of, hey, are the Hornets somewhat competent with their moves so far in how they've gone about post-trade deadline, who they've put in the front office, and who they've hired? Is that something competent of them?
It bears the semblance of competence. I still kind of have my whole, I have some misgiving. I'm wary. I'll put it that way. I'm cautiously optimistic because I do remember, we do remember the points where David Tepper came in here, started looking like he made salient hires, and then what happened? Nothing ever looked that good. Nothing ever looked that good. It looks like they have the right coach right now. It looks like Jeff Peterson is a brilliant guy that does have great connections. But for right now, I understand anyone that wants to be cautious because, quite honestly, this can go left because this is the Charlotte Hornets, baby. Anything that can go wrong usually does.
Yeah, and this is where I was pivoting towards. We can look at this hire and say, okay, this looks like a sound hire. It looks like they've made some sound decisions. But the journey to this coach would lead you to believe maybe that cautious optimism is the right way to go, because aren't we just a week removed from the JJ Redick discourse?
Yes, and there were legitimate discussions. Now, granted, there were some folks, I will give Rod Boone of the Charlotte Observer all the props in the world, who never moved off his pivot of it was always going to be Charles Lee. But there were legitimate rumblings that I had heard, yo, this JJ Redick thing is actually very, very real. And if you were going to hire a guy straight out of the booth, despite the fact that it has never worked, and for everyone that's going to scream right now at this podcast, yo, Steve Kerr worked. No, it didn't. Because remember, Steve Kerr really doesn't count because he was the GM of the Phoenix Suns before this. You're going to holler at me about Mark Jackson. No, Mark Jackson didn't really work. And if we really want to take a look under the hood on that, you would probably walk away. There's a reason why.
It's funny. I had that thought about Mark Jackson, but then I remembered, no, there's a reason why Mark Jackson's in the booth and people don't really have glowing things to say about him. And sometimes it's kind of like the Kendrick Lamar Drake beef, right?
Yes.
I know that's been the hot topic du jour since last weekend. And there are times where I think to myself, did you listen to the lyrics? Did you?
Exactly.
Are you paying? For people who say they pay really close attention, that this is my shit, you're saying things that make me go, I don't think you're paying as close attention as you say you are. And when I hear things like that, I go, I don't think you're paying attention like you say you are.
They're not, because it's like when you have a guy, an NBA head coach that may or may not have been extorted by a lady of the night in Memphis, you can't hire that.
Haven't we all been there?
I haven't.
Oh, okay. That's you know what? No. There's some things I should keep to myself.
Yeah.
I sometimes wonder too if JJ Redick is a hot commodity right now. All right.
Yes.
He has been positioned at ESPN, and I understand why he's been positioned the way he's been positioned at ESPN. He gets the people going. It's the same thing with Austin Rivers. Austin Rivers is a chaos agent right now, much like he was a chaos agent at Duke. So I get all that. And he's got this podcast where I could see where the podcast he's doing with LeBron James would give a front office executive or an owner the idea of, well, look at how he is with LeBron. Look at this like basketball mind exchanging of ideas. We're just talking ball here. I wonder if he can connect on that level with a whole bunch of other players, and maybe, just maybe, this would work out as a coach. I can see the idea behind it. And if you're the Hornets and nothing has worked up into this point, I told this to Kyle Bailey last week when he brought it up to me on FNZ. I was kind of like, I mean, shit, nothing else has worked, so why not, right? So I understand why we got to this point, but I did think the reaction to JJ Redick was interesting.
No, the reaction is very interesting. If you're of the mind, nothing else has worked, why not go for an out-of-the-box hire? Except for the fact that this is the Charlotte Hornets. They probably have the lowest reputation in the NBA by far at this point because of previous ownership, previous cheap, probably cash-strapped moves that they have done before. At the same time, this is not the type of hire you're trying to make when you're trying to build back up your reputation, not only with the league, but with the fan base that is increasingly out on this team. And I don't blame anybody for it. And then on top of that, and this is the thing that I don't think was talked about enough, you're raising ticket prices year one after a 21-win season.
Yeah.
Like, you can't go with an experimental coach. I like JJ Redick. I think he's what NBA fans think they want in their NBA analysis. At the same point, there's a whole people person thing that I'm not necessarily so sure. And on top of that, there's an entire back of house knowledge that needs to be had to understand how all this stuff works from a fundamental level. And if you are coming through and skipping the line and not understanding how any of this works, it's more likely that it ends up failing, and then you end up looking even dumber for making that hire.
All right, from one small market team to another, the Indiana Pacers find themselves down 0-2 to the New York Knicks. And Rick Carlisle, who's been around the block a few years, after the game, he's upset about the officiating. Yes. And Brian Windhorst of ESPN reported that I think it's upwards of 70 instances of calls that they thought were missed or went against the Pacers were sent to the NBA offices. So they had, I think the number was 29 instances after game one, a highlight reel, a mixtape, if you will, and another 40 for this last game. And Rick Carlisle at the end of the game yesterday, I don't have the audio soundbite, but here's the quote. This was the money quote that everybody's now obsessing over today. Small market teams deserve an equal shot. They deserve a fair shot no matter where they're playing. Now, this, of course, is because they're playing the New York Knicks, a Knicks franchise that I'm really at a loss trying to understand where Rick Carlisle's coming from on this. I mean, the last time the Knicks were this interesting was 10 days in February, however many years ago it was, with Jeremy Lin, and the lasting impact.
Exactly.
The lasting impact of Linsanity.
Yes.
And some people might roll there, but if you look back on this, the lasting impact of Linsanity was a carriage dispute between MSG and the cable companies that got resolved because Knicks fans needed to watch Jeremy Lin, which makes total sense. But it's been a really long time since the Knicks were relevant. They have an owner that nobody likes and is, doing facial recognition on his enemies.
And winning lawsuits on that, by the way.
He did win that lawsuit. So, Nana, I am at a loss. I am absolutely at a loss where Rick Carlisle is so detached from reality that he says, well, clearly the NBA wants the Knicks to win. They don't like the Knicks.
No one likes the Knicks. Only the New York Knicks are such an ugly basketball team that only their mother and their fans love them. And I love, again, and I have family that is Knicks fans that when they see this, they're going to call me, be like, hey, man, what you mean? But again, they know this. Like, think about it like this. Why would they help the Knicks? The most intriguing matchup probably for the NBA right now in the finals is Boston and somebody else. It behooves the NBA to stretch this series out, get more games, get that nice 6-man rotation nice and tired so that Boston dispatches them in 4, which may end up happening anyway. But at the same time, there is no grand conspiracy, because if there was a grand conspiracy to help the Knicks, they would have forced the Knicks to sell the Knicks to somebody they actually like decades ago and eaten the lawsuit. But again, there's this leap in logic. And also at the same point, I will bring this up. You know that favorable advantage at home that you get? That's the benefit of home court advantage. Win more games. And then you know what? I won't feel as bad for you.
Yeah, we're seeing this play out as we talked about with the Rangers and the Canes. How things went up in New York isn't some sort of NHL conspiracy. It's called home ice. And the Canes have enjoyed home ice in the second round for the most part. So they're a little bit the shoes on the other foot. But Absolutely. I think this is something that my dad came up to Weight Competition Center yesterday to watch Jacob do some clinics. And he goes, well, you know why the Rangers are going to win this series, right? You know, it's because the NHL wants, they want Boston and New York. I'm like, oh, here we go again. And this permeates throughout all of sports fandom. And I think
there's a generational issue with that because my father's the same way with the NBA. Like, if you are 55 and older, you generally believe in these conspiracies where the leagues are rigged.
Well, let's go all the way back to 2010, right? So you want NBA matchup that the suits up in New York salivate over. 2010 gave us Lakers Celtics, right? Okay, so done. All right. From 2010 on, there is a through line of LeBron James.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter. It's not the market. It's LeBron, and of course you got the Steph Curry Warriors. But let's say, for hypothetically speaking, the Minnesota Timberwolves get past the Denver Nuggets. The Wolves will be the odds-on favorite to win this entire thing because Anthony Edwards has become the phenomenon of the postseason. And I think it's great. I think it's important for the NBA, by the way, to have an Anthony Edwards come on like this for casuals like me to finally witness. I know people like you who follow the NBA year-round are like, yeah, man, this is what we're trying to tell you about. But for me, I'm finally seeing it. But the point is...
But you might get two of those teams, though, this year in the Western Conference Finals.
You might. But let's say the Wolves win. You know how many different NBA teams would have won a championship at this point in the last 5 to 6 years?
I think it's 6, right? It'd be 6.
So 6 different NBA champs over the last 6 years. Please stop with well, you know what New York wants. This actually what New York wants is what's been going on. Parity. That's what they want.
This is, it's funny you bring this up because this is the benefit of what they've been doing with this new luxury tax and luxury tax apron. Denver's going to have to tear it apart this year. Minnesota is going to have to tear it apart if they don't win because there's going to be a lot of these punitive things where you cannot really add any kind of talent after that. All you can sign once you're in that second apron, which Denver is, which Minnesota is, you can only sign minimum salary. So you're only going to be able to build out slightly more to your roster. At some point, like, this parity thing is probably intentional. And at some point, like, we got to admit, there's no conspiracy because that would require a lot of people doing a lot of the same things and understanding the same message. And if you watch the refs from night to night, it's clear they can't do that.
Yeah. And again, I guess we'll close on this with the concept of people don't quite actually listen or pay attention the way they claim they do online. This happened with Pat Riley in the Miami Heat. Yes. Pat Riley doing a post-mortem on the season and having strong words for Jimmy Butler and Tyler Hero. That's what Pat Riley does every year.
Yeah.
Every year. And Jimmy's a big boy. He'll make his coffee and they'll work on that.
He'll sell it for $35 too.
Oh, he absolutely will. He absolutely will. And I don't think he's going to get the extension because Pat Riley laid out why he's not going to get that extension. And I actually agree with Pat Riley. You got to be on the court. You got to be available. But again, you're not paying. How do I know this, casual NBA fan? And I have to argue with people.
Because we're in an economy where attention-grabbing headlines are the only thing that matters because we need the clicks.
I guess so. Yes. Speaking of which, that's called college basketball media infrastructure, but that's a different conversation for a different day. Not Edwards. Eye on college basketball. All right, man. Keep knocking out that off-season content because I don't know who's where. I mean, I don't know how Gary Parrish and Matt Norlander keep up with who the hell is where. I don't know how you keep up with who the hell is where this offseason.
Lack of sleep. That's how.
There it is. There it is. All right, dude. We'll talk to you later.
Later, man.
Big thanks to Nana for hanging out with us.
He's funny.
I know we got. It's one of those things. Like I told him, we should do this more often, where we take our text conversations and actually bring them to the podcast. Big thanks to Hometown Realty for sponsoring Ovies and Giglio. Check them out, myhtr.com. We're confident about the Carolina Hurricanes getting in the win column tonight, holding serve at home against the New York Rangers. You want to buy and sell with confidence. That's what you can do with Hometown Realty. So check them out, myhtr.com. Let's say you bought that house. Let's say you refinance. Maybe you've got some legal matter that you have to knock out, a contract, if you will. WH.lawyer. Whitaker and Hamer can handle that for you. So check them out online, Whitaker and Hamer, WH.lawyer, attorneys and counselors at law. And big thanks to Nature's Relief. We're going to be at Nature's Relief on Western Boulevard next Thursday. OG Live, brought to you by Sleek Fleet, is going to be on the road next Thursday at Nature's Relief. So here's what you can do. Head on over to the website, naturesreliefhempstore.com, RELEAF, hempstore.com. Check out what they've got. Check out their story. Better yet, go tell them we sent you. And if you got questions about seltzers, gummies, smokables, pre-rolls, all that kind of stuff, they've got it. And they can walk you through it to meet your needs when it comes to this. So again, big thanks to Nature's Relief. And a reminder, we will be out there next Thursday having a blast. So come hang out with us. It's now time for the segment that's taking over this podcast, the fastest growing segment in Ovies and Giglio history. Are you ready, Joe?
Amazing.
And Brian over at Nice Price, he outdid himself. Also, big thanks to Anna for putting together the new lightning round graphic that features lightning. We're very excited about this.
Ride the lightning, man.
Lightning round item number 1.
Speaking of New York, what kind of crowd do you expect tonight at PNC Arena? There's been a lot of freak out, a lot of hand wringing about geofencing, Carey. Everybody, I love how Carey keeps getting strays in the whole. Like, have you all been to Carey lately? It ain't just Carey. Hey, Carey.
No, it should be a good crowd tonight. Now, if they were to lose, Game 4 could be
Saturday.
Game 4
could be Madison Square South. Is that what we're looking at? I would
Game
say,
4 could be interesting.
I would say
they're gonna have a good chunk of fans tonight. Period.
I would say 25%.
That's what they do.
I'd say 25% of the crowd tonight will be Rangers fans.
Seems high, but
I think about 25%.
I would say 3,000.
The only thing you have to prevent from happening is the stupid Rangers goal chant from happening at PNC Arena. That's all I ask. And I don't think it's an indictment on hey, I don't want to hear that. That would be nice. It would be nice if Kochetkov didn't allow any of that to happen.
I just took the over in the game, by the way.
Oh, geez. Were you on DraftKings?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy. So, next in the lightning round.
Item number 2.
The Toronto Maple Leafs are in the market for a new head coach, Joe. You know what that means.
Uh-oh.
Time for the Rod Brindamore speculation to kick back up again, ladies and gentlemen. Imagine what Rod could do with Toronto's resources. Imagine what any coach could do with Toronto's resources.
It's fair. It's fair.
I mean, this is not a knock on Rod Brindamore, but my goodness. Toronto cannot have nice things, kind of like the Knicks in a way, where everybody's obsessing over the Knicks. Nah, it's the same thing. Like, what have you done? But hey, looking forward to the speculation to begin on that one. Next in the lightning round.
A story I am completely over.
Already?
But the NFL needs content, so we keep hearing about it.
So the Tom Brady roast was on Sunday.
Yes. What did Nikki Glazer do to her face?
I don't know. I didn't see it.
Okay.
I didn't watch it. I just didn't watch it. And
it's all the highlights are on my feed. That's all.
Well, here's what I
did think the Drew Bledsoe part was funny. Come on. What did you just do?
Hopefully
super strength?
Super strength on the oh boy. I'm gonna have to tighten the mic the mic arm. That's my bad.
We got a mayonnaise leak?
No mayonnaise leak. We still have 2022.
Oh, that one's fresh.
We didn't give this one away.
The Carolina one. Do we still have that?
Sell by the 23rd. No, the Carolina one's fresher. This was sell by 24. So this was good. This was good until March 8th. This was good until March 8th. But yeah, one was the classic, one was the bowl.
No, they were both.
This was the kickoff classic.
You're right.
This was the bowl.
Okay.
That's why they're a little bit different. Anyway, I digress. Here's the thing that bothers me about the Tom Brady roast, and as it continued throughout the week, we have new content today about there was tension behind the scenes between Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft leading up to their you couldn't tell that from the roast? There's a story on ESPN.com right now because I guess some of the dudes were talking about it on their podcast because every former athlete has a podcast. So Julian Edelman and Drew Bledsoe discussed the roast on their latest episode of Edelman's Games with Names podcast. And they described the scene in the green room before the event. And this is the quote from the ESPN story. Pre-show, we're in the green room. Remember that? Were you in there? Edelman asked Bledsoe. Bill's opening up. He's having fun. He's talking war stories, talking rookie skits, talking fun shit, doing shit we know that Bill's all about, but it's like amplified because he was excited to see you guys because, he doesn't have a job anymore. Yeah, I mean, it makes total sense. But then Robert Kraft walked into the room and you could cut the tension with a knife. These are two guys who want credit for the success. And the owner, Robert Kraft, is now getting his wish that I now get to be instrumental in the next generation of whatever the Patriots are going to do. And I got my family. He's setting up his sons to take over and all that kind of stuff, just like Bill, I'm sure, wants to do with his kid and everything else. And these two egos, shockingly, were a little cool after, especially as we come to find out, Robert Kraft was on the phone with Arthur Blank going, yeah, man, you don't want to hire that guy. Yeah, I would say there's going to be a little tension there too, because, hey, are you keeping me from getting a job? I'd be mad. Yes. So that's issue number one.
Okay.
Issue number two, all I ask is that NFL people specifically, because I think this is very specific to the sport of football, specifically those to the NFL. I am now proposing something new. I would like.
You want a dead period?
Not a dead period. This is actually something new.
Oh, okay.
This is not a dead period. This is where I want mandatory pop culture lessons for NFL people, specifically NFL people. Mandatory. In the month of May or the month of June, you are required to consume things that normal people consume so that when it happens in your world, you're not flabbergasted of like, wow, could you believe that things that were being said in a roast? It's a roast. Did you guys never watch the Comedy Central roast back in the day? Like, I get it. Your college experience, my college experience, and their college experience are completely different. When I was in college and I had shit to do, I was playing video games and watching Comedy Central repeats. What were you doing, Joe?
Yeah.
Probably about the same, right? So yeah, Jeffrey Ross saying some really wild shit. That's what we came here for. But now people are like, can you believe what Jeffrey Ross said? I mean, there was apparently an off-limits thing too with Robert Kraft and the massage parlor and all that stuff. Okay, fine. So all I ask is, please, for the month of June, consume pop culture stuff like the rest of us so that when you have comedy, you're not like you just discovered you're the first person to land in America. I've planted a flag on the moon. Did you know you could be funny? This is crazy to me. Did you know you can make these kinds of jokes? This is why the ESPYs suck, by the way. This is why the ESPYs suck. This is why R.I.P. Norm Macdonald, his sports show was brilliant, but sports people hated it because sports people have a really hard time with actual cutting jokes, not your typical locker room shenanigans about dick jokes. Right? Like real cutting jokes. That's what the roasts are for. Anyway, it was one of these things that bothered me. Sorry, I just had to get that off my chest. Speaking of cable.
Are you ready for new cable?
So it was announced yesterday that Disney is going to package, wait for it, Disney Plus, Hulu, and HBO Max, aka Warner Brothers Discovery. What does that sound like to you, Joe?
Cable?
Bingo. Cable is so back. Look, man, everybody's struggling right now on the TV front. And it's bad for Warner Brothers when they have to partner up with Disney. They might not even get the NBA package because NBC is going to outbid them. And NBA might double their television deal when everybody was talking about how they were going to die. So cable is back.
Basketball.
Speaking of which, we will close on this.
Dribble.
Lightning round.
I need more from Brian.
It's definitely Triple H theme song.
Oh, yeah,
territory,
easily.
Last in the
I
lightning
am the
round.
game. And I came to play.
I guess this is not necessarily a shock, but Nikola Jokic wins his third MVP award.
It's a regular season award.
It is a regular
Before
season
people-
award. He did beat out his finalists, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and Luka Doncic. This did not sit well with Shaq. Shaq, during the exchange, during the award exchange or the announcement, O'Neal told Jokic that he believed Gilgeous-Alexander deserved to win the award. Jokic responded, "Thank you, Shaq. We don't judge people here. That's fine. It's your opinion. I'm joking. For real. There are a lot of players that deserve it." Now, I guess where things get a little dicey for Shaq is because if you look at those who have won multiple MVPs, you're looking at Kareem Abdul-Jabbar with 6, Bill Russell with 5, Michael Jordan's got 5, Wilt's got 4, LeBron James has 4, Moses Malone has 3, Larry Bird 3, Magic Johnson 3. They're the only players who have won the award at least 3 times. Shaq has a legitimate bone to pick, because don't you think Shaq in his prime should have more MVP awards? So he's probably bothered by the fact that Jokic having 3 puts him in a position that Shaq does not. And that's why I'm not saying Shaq is wrong to suggest another player, but I am saying that Shaq probably has a little bit of an ego play it here.
Okay. You're saying it's not because he thought SGA had a superior season. It's because he didn't want the Joker to pass his legacy. Or
Shaq is, and I get it. Shaq is very particular about his legacy. Very particular about his legacy. And
he probably should have cared more about his legacy while he was playing.
Yeah,
if he was in better shape, he would have won 7, 8, 9 titles. Easy.
Yeah. Fair enough. That's the lightning round. You want to hear it one more time?
Yeah. It's awesome.
Let's hear it one
It's really
more
good.
time.
Lightning round.
Is that really him and not Lemmy?
That's Brian.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I need more from Brian.
I am
he,
the game.
He did threaten to do a mouth guitar a la Tenacious D, where instead of his actual music chops, he's just going, bow, bow, wow. Maybe I'm the one who does it. Something to keep an eye on. Maybe I'll do that next. Amazing indeed. Oh, come on, StreamYard. What's wrong with you? Let's try this one more time. Big thanks to Matt Davis for sponsoring Ovies and Giglio. Check him out. InsureGarner.com, theoginsurance.com, or just call him directly, 919-779-8277. You can start saving money on home and auto. Just good people there in Garner. Pick it up, the phone, and saving you money.
Can help you with your financial planning as well.
I heard about that.
Yeah.
I heard
That's big
about that.
time,
That
man.
is big time.
Because I need all kinds of help.
Yeah, don't we all?
Yeah.
Don't we all?
But have a conversation. Seriously. Give him a call.
And finally, Roback. Check them out online. Roback.com, RHOback.com. Use that promo code OG20. Yesterday, I was wearing the everyday shorts, the blue ones. I have the blue ones, and I have some gray ones as well. And they're incredibly comfortable. It's going to be really, really difficult to go back to other shorts. I'm not just saying that because it's skies out, thighs out season. I've also become very, very comfortable with the current state of my dad bod. I need comfort. I need stretchy. And Roback's got stretchy.
Both.
I love this. I love this.
And the promo code.
Use that
OG20.
promo code.
Save yourself 20% on your purchase. OG20. Go to Roback, RHO back, Roback.com.
All right, we'll get out of here on some Hey Joe questions or Hey Joe comments. Check out crankarmbrewing.com. They bring you Hey Joe. They also bring you the OG After Dark, which we'll get back at tonight following the Canes and Rangers game 3. When we're done here, I'm actually going to drop by Crank Arm to pick up some beer.
Okay.
We're going to crack that open tonight while we're doing the mix it up. Nothing against the dark arts.
I was going to say, you're the dark arts. I'll have a bicycle.
Yeah, nothing against the dark arts, which is really, really good. But I think tonight we got to switch it up. Just like the Canes are switching it up, putting in Kochetkov. So I'm going to switch it up with a little beer tonight in the post game. So check out Crank Arm Brewing. Go pick some up before you go tailgate tonight.
West Davie Street. Go check them out.
All right, to the YouTube comments where people are very, very upset about our opinions on Igor Shesterkin and Vincent Trocheck.
Holy smokes.
I felt like this one was probably the one to read because of how it was positioned. A former New Yorker living in North Carolina. You know how I know you're from New York?
You told me.
You told me.
Yeah.
Everybody from New York tells you they're from New York.
That's like a instruction manual how to launch the shuttle.
I will do my best to speed read this one. All right. So, former New Yorker living in North Carolina. Boys, I love the hockey talk. All right, boys. It's time for Pracky, boys. I know you're here to promote your team, but some of the comments you made are crazy. Without a doubt, Anderson is a damn good goalie, but to make the comment that he had a better game, seriously? Canes had 116 shot attempts and 57 shots. Y'all, that's a basic ass math equation. We all know that not all shot attempts are created equally, but whatever. That's my own editorializing. He continues, the Canes threw everything they had at the Rangers and walked away with a soul-crushing
Wait, who
L.
said that Freddie was better in the game?
That's the part that I don't know.
Listen to the fucking podcast. Jesus Christ.
Well, that's the issue that I've been kind of noticing with a lot of Rangers fans is that I don't know what they're hearing.
Not one person said that on this podcast.
Did Mike say it? I didn't say it. Was it a comment? I didn't hear it.
The reason the Rangers won the game is because Shesterkin made the saves at the end of regulation that he did.
Yeah.
On the Canes penalty kill.
So he continues, the Rangers have more depth, talent, and a more complete team. Look at the playoff team so far. The Rangers are the most dangerous team in the playoffs. As for the Capitals and the Rangers playing subpar, why play at 100% against a team that should not have been in there in the first place? Tell me where their level of play is right now against a team picked to win the cup. And they're now down 2-0 with only 14% of teams coming back to win. I'd say they've kicked in another gear. Look, man, I'm happy for Rangers fans, man. They're feeling it right now. They're truly feeling it. But I do ask, listen,
take some notes if you need to.
Just listen a little bit.
I can annotate it if you need me to.
Yes. That's from Rob on the YouTube comments. If I'm a Canes fan, I'm not thrilled about Stahl leaning into the Rangers diving. Undisciplined play and no special teams is the issue as far as I can see. You've got to be accountable, get it fixed. Now, I agree. Igor didn't need to execute the front flip, and Fox went down like he was KO'd by Mike Tyson, but there was contact on Igor, and Gensel has to skate away from that spot, and he knows it.
Those aren't the plays I think that the Hurricanes are upset about. The Hurricanes are upset about a cross check where it's pretty clear that there's contact. Yeah, but to embellish it, that's where the issue is.
All right. I guess Jess is watching on the comment section. Are you pounding Charles Shaw White in the beer stick pregame? It worked last time.
Oh, did it work?
I mean, they won last time.
Oh,
but
no. Please don't.
Where is Serena? Serena.
Please don't.
Serena did point out that not sure if it's still there, but Broughton had a big banner for Webb Simpson back in the
as
day.
they should.
I think it's still there.
Major champion.
I think it's still there. But yeah, I think Serena, I probably should message with Serena and ask what terrible alcohol is she going to have in the beer stick today.
How about we go to Crank Arm? We get you a couple beers. We do this proper.
Okay.
Seriously, my heart hurts still from watching you drink that.
What, the White Zin?
Yes.
What? I was fine.
I know, but you really should not drink a whole bottle of wine that way.
As far as the towel burning is concerned, if it doesn't work, who's getting fired to actually reverse the curse?
Justin, we've already sacrificed ourselves.
I don't know. Maybe Joe fires me. I have no idea.
We've already sacrificed ourselves
from Paul. Y'all should put Rod Brindamore in the Herb Sendek zone.
I was laughing at that earlier.
For Doran and Keith.
Yes.
That's a good point.
And look, I don't know if you cooked up this alias or not, but
yeah. No, from Robert. Yeah, Robert called a shot on Instagram.
Yeah,
that he was going to put his dumb sports radio voicemail. Made it highlight of the week. Love how you actually had a response. That's the best. Yeah, man. Like that's what the OG Sports Phone is all about. I think Ken is on his way back from some sort of trip, And Ken asked
Ken's
if I
in
wanted
France, I think.
do I need a Cuban from the duty free? Of course I need a Cuban from the duty free.
Why do you get the cigars, not me?
It'll probably go to my dad anyway.
That's fine.
That's probably what it's going to be. Oh, from Sam Outer Banks. Go check out Sam's Patreon. A lot of good information from the Outer Banks. Go support that. Go support local. That towel is full of PFAs. Yeah, and I huffed them all. Feeling great. So what could you possibly put in the beer stick that's going to hurt me, Joe?
That's fair.
What could possibly happen? Here's a tweet that I thought you would enjoy, Joe. This is in relation to the OG Sports Phone. Your addiction, this is from Scott. This cracked me up. Your addiction to sports radio knows no bounds. You'll just do it in another quote unquote channel and call it something else, podcasting. But in your heart, you know what it is. Scott, you are absolutely right. And I stand on business when I say this. And I've always said this. And Joe, you can back me up on this. When you really think about it, just about everything boils down to sports talk radio. You can dress it up any way you want. You can put it on a different platform. But what all these guys are doing, former athletes, McAfee, what we're doing now, it's all just, you could even make an argument that political coverage is now just sports talk radio. Just saying. Jeremy Markovich, NC Rabbit Hole gets it. Talk about the OG Sports Phone. It needs to be the football phone. If I can find an old football phone that works, I will absolutely put it in the studio.
I just gave you the new OG Media credit card too. I might be regretting that.
Oh boy, am I gonna go on eBay with that bad boy? And we'll get out of here on this. Maybe I'll use the OG credit card on a bunch of Tim Hortons coffee. From Michael, tired, Canes to Toronto, wired, Toronto-based Tim Hortons to Raleigh.
Ooh.
Tim Hortons might expand into North Carolina.
Okay.
Might expand.
Wait when they get here, though.
Yeah, when they get here, I'll get some of the coffee. Coffee's okay. The donut?
We've been through this before. Apparently, there's an exchange rate. It's much better in Canada than
Is it?
here. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I should actually update my passport, and I'll find out one of these days. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for today's show. We will see you for an OG After Dark tonight, brought to you by Crank Arm. Let's hope. Have I been the one that's drinking? No, I'm sober. Hopefully, we'll be talking about a Carolina Hurricanes win tonight.
Those chemicals.
You know what?
You're getting a little loopy.
You might be right. There's only one solution.
Drink.
Beer.